Welcome back to the Shadow Priestess Embodied. I'm your host, Kaylyn Rutkowski, and thank you for joining me today for another deep dive and exploration into your inner world, into your body, the shadow realms, where we will begin to explore some of these esoteric principles and really begin to drop them down into modern day application and embodiment. This is a sacred place where you can begin to truly meet yourself, meet your medicine, and to meet your magic. This is a place of remembrance. Take a deep breath and let's begin. Welcome back, you guys. I am so excited to have all of you back today for another episode of the Shadow Priestess Embodied Podcast. So, as you know, I have been super pulled to bring on just absolutely incredible guests. And today is no exception. I bring on one of my good friends, Tiffany, and we're really going to dive in about the initiation of motherhood and the journey from maiden to mother. And the reason I wanted to bring Tiff on to talk about this is because her and I met when I was coaching in a different container. And I really got to sit back and watch her evolution from her coming in and being kind of heavily in her masculine to really embodying the identity of the goddess and then moving really into mother and the empress and what that's really got to look like. And a reason I wanted to bring her on specifically to have this conversation is because she has this really beautiful ability to keep it real. And I think that more mamas need to have people in their life to have real conversations about motherhood and how it can be nuanced and be something so beautiful and, so amazing. And at the same time, be lost and it be hard and the mom guilt and the shame and all of the things that really come along with becoming a mother. So today, her and I dive deep into some real shit and really talk about what it's like being a mom and still trying to be a spiritual woman and entrepreneur. So Tiffany is, or was, I should say, a corporate coach and learning designer turned into an energy worker and a woman's empowerment coach. Tiff has always been passionate about helping people unlock their fullest potential, and she has spent many years working in the corporate world, helping professionals develop their skills and achieve their goals. And she got to this point where she really began to explore the depths of her own personal growth and spirituality and realized there was so much more to life than just, professional success. Can any of you relate to that, right? So she became increasingly interested in energy work and began to study various modalities such as yoga, meditation, breath work. And I really love Tiff's approach because it's grounded and in the belief that every woman has the power to create the life they desire. And by tapping into our own inner wisdom, intuition, we can overcome any obstacle and achieve our greatest potential to really create a life that feels aligned, joyful, and free. You guys, I absolutely adore this woman and I cannot wait to share her and this conversation with you. So let's dive in. All right, beautiful people, welcome back for another juicy episode. And today I have one of my dear friends, Tiff, on. And Tiff is just a goddess in the flesh. She really is. And someone who literally just is a pure light everywhere she goes. So Tiff and I met, 2 years ago, 3 years ago, when I was coaching a different container. And her and I instantly just hit it off and you could feel this heart connection. And today I wanted to really bring her on to one, share her amazing gifts and genius with you all, but also really talk about what it's been like to journey from the maiden to the mother. while also being a spiritual woman. So, Tiff, if you want to introduce yourself, a little bit about what you do in the world, and yeah, let's dive in, baby.
Yeah. All right. So I am a women's coach and mentor. I'm also a yoga teacher and a newly trained doula. And that was inspired by my journey from maiden to mother. And right now I've decided, well, really, spirits kind of called me to take a slight step back in that realm so that I can have space to really experience motherhood the way that I desire to experience
Mm,
it, and not the way that I have seen it done before, and not the way that everyone else does, and also not the way that society sometimes tells us that we're meant to look after our children. And so I have spent, my little one just turned 1 at the end of last month, which is wild.
so crazy.
And it's just and it's been really like the most transformative season of my life, pretty much starting from when I first found out that I was pregnant up until now. So it's been 2 years of so much evolution and so much unraveling of who I used to be in the maiden, and then picking up all the pieces that are here to serve me as a mother, and leaving
Mm,
behind the pieces that don't. And that's been such an interesting and profound journey in and of itself.
yeah. Well, and I just want to hit on something you said too, because in the beginning you were talking about like being the mother like you truly like want to be, and like slowing down and showing up how you want to. And for me, this is my second child. I just had my daughter just turned 1 at the end of July. And when I had my son, I was working 2 jobs. I was leaving the house at 5:30 in the morning, not getting home till 6 p.m., working on the weekends. Like I was always away from him. And like I just grieved so deeply because as I'm sitting there working, it's like, God, I just want to be with him. I wish I would have slowed down. I wish I wouldn't have just kept pushing and forcing and, trying to do what everyone says. Oh, you have the baby, you go back to work in 6 weeks. It's like, it's crazy. And I made myself like, I just beat myself up so much that I wasn't there for him more, that I didn't do it. But now I have my own business. I make my own schedule and I'm home with my daughter, and I'll notice where that voice comes in, but on the complete opposite side, where now I feel guilty that I'm not doing enough and I'm not showing up more and I'm not working with more clients. So it's like so funny. I've experienced both sides of the spectrum, and it seems like it's like either one, it's like you still are making yourself like wrong. And I think so much, like you said, is like from society telling us like what kind of moms we should be, right? We should be badass women and be entrepreneurs, but we also should be home with our kids and, be their man caretaker and, make all the home baked cookies, but you should be making 6 figures and you should be wildly horny. You want to have sex with your husband every day. It's like women have all these hats, and it's like, how do you really honor what's true for you and what's aligned for you? And I think that's why this conversation is so important, because I've been on both ends of the spectrum, and it's like still that like shame or like guilt that I'm not doing the right thing or doing enough. You know what I mean?
Oh, 100%. And that, like, for me, there was like a really, so what's interesting is when my baby turned 4.5 months, I thought that I would go back to work. And I
Yeah.
did, like, sparingly, like I would do bits and pieces, and that felt really good. And then at that point, I was like, you know what? Like, I think I can do this. Like, I think this, I can do like the work thing, and similar to you, like I have my own business. I work with my husband. We're mostly based at home. Like I was like, I could do this. Like this will be easy. So
Yeah.
the first couple of weeks was like, I felt so good. I felt independent. I felt strong. I was like, oh yeah, this is going to be it. This is the thing. And then 2 weeks later, it felt like I was going through postpartum again. Like
Yeah.
all the emotion, all of these really really mean self-talk started rising up about what I was doing and how it wasn't enough, and you're so slow, why don't you get these things anymore? You used to be able to do so much more with your time.
Yeah.
You used to be able to think differently, you used to be able to channel differently. Like, what's going on? And I'm sitting there thinking, like, what the fuck is this?
Yeah.
Like, this is not me. This is not how I want to speak to myself. And then I would hear my son like laughing downstairs, and I'd be at the desk, like forcing myself to type something out. And I'd be like, what am I doing? Like, I
Yeah.
want to be down there with him. Like, he's laughing and he's
Yeah.
joyful. And I'm like criticizing myself and judging myself while trying to write like a stupid piece of content. Like, what? This is not it. And that took me on this wild journey for probably about 3 or 4 months of this like deconditioning of this idea that like I was meant to bounce back. I was meant to just get back into work, that I would operate the way that I did before I had my baby.
Yeah.
And, like it was just this, it was like a really hard time. So that was a really big pivotal moment for me, as well as postpartum. There are days where the idea of doing postpartum again with another child is like, no fucking way. Like, it
Yeah.
was so deep and so dark that I'm like, whoo, I'm not ready. Like, I'm not
Yeah.
ready to go back there yet. That is to say, I don't know whether I would have another child at this point in time. But what I do know is like I would do pregnancy again. That was a fucking vibe. I loved it. I
You were
would
so cute pregnant.
Oh my
You were
god, I
so
loved
cute.
it. And I was huge. Like,
But you're
my
so okay, you guys can't see Tiff, but she's like the most petite, tiniest, like little woman. And then when she got pregnant, she just had this like Mother Earth of a planet belly, like so big. So
all round,
cute.
and like you couldn't even tell I was pregnant from behind. Like, it was all front. And as soon as I would turn, people would be like, whoa, what is that? She's pregnant.
Oh,
And so, like, I got super, like, yeah, I was very, very heavily pregnant. I loved it. I would do labor again. I would even do birth again, because I found both of those two experiences super empowering. I really
mhm.
found the depths of my strength and my voice in those two experiences. And yet, postpartum is the part that I'm like, oh shit,
Mm,
I don't know if I could do that again
yeah.
yet. But that work divide thing was almost just as painful as postpartum. That's how deep it took me. And it was this, man, like the deconditioning was crazy. Like, it ran so deep that it took me months of like actively processing all the things that I thought I should be doing, how I thought I should show up, learning to value myself, even if I'm not being productive, even if I'm not earning money, like
Yeah.
learning that the value that I have to give to the world is actually so much more than that. And yet I could not see it at all,
Yeah. Mm,
even with a healthy, thriving baby right in front of me. I
yeah.
still couldn't see it.
Yeah. And I feel that so much because I would be lying to you if I said I still don't battle those thoughts. There are
Mm,
still some days where I'm like, oh my gosh, like, I used to show up this way. And, even like being a spiritual woman, it's like, oh, I would do my ritual and I would do this. And then I'm showing up and I'm working with these people and I'm creating. And, it's like such like a different way of operating than when you go from like we're talking about the maiden to the mother. Like there's the initiation. Like, yeah, that's who you were and who you were being and how you were showing up. And now everything changes like that. Like the
oh,
minute you give birth to your baby, it's like that person literally fucking dies the minute they are born. And I think, that's part of like postpartum for me too was really challenging. And I think it is so much of that identity shift because you're like, you see in the movies or people tell you, "Oh, it's going to be all, rainbows and butterflies and you'll bounce back and you'll lose the baby weight and you'll be feeling great and your baby will eventually sleep." And you start just hearing all the things, right? So then you're
Mm,
like sizing yourself up to that or believing like that's how it's going to unfold or be for you. And it just isn't. Right. And then it's like that whole identity shift of like, okay, well, who am I now? And just feeling like you completely lost yourself. And because you do, like, you really
yeah,
do.
yeah.
And it's like really trying to like redefine who you are as a mother, but then like still also being you. And it is such a weird polarity because it's like the happiest times of your life and the fucking hardest and the saddest. And like you're sitting
Mm.
there in like such like anxiety and sadness, but then the minute your baby looks at you or smiles or giggles or something, like your heart like grows 10 sizes. So it's like the most nuanced experience I think you can ever go through. But I feel like I wasn't really prepared for so much of, like, the darker times or, like, the complete, like, identity death, like, fucking just postpartum in itself, like, all the hormones, all the thoughts, like, it's just a lot, and I feel like women need to have more real conversations about, like, what this journey really looks like because there's also no, like, support. It's like everyone wants to come and, "Let me help you with the baby, and let me do this for the baby, and let me do," but then it's
Let me
like,
buy
who
gifts for the baby.
yeah, but then you're like, "Okay, but, like, what about me?" Like, I also am in need of support, and, even just, like, my mom was so amazing for me, but even who would just come over and, like, just, like, either cook or bring you food or sit with them for a minute so you could just shower for a minute where you weren't attached to somebody. It's, like, really creating more raw, vulnerable conversations so that women can prepare better and, like, have the support systems in place, like, having a coach or having family come stay with you or just a community where you don't feel so fucking alone because for me like postpartum was lonely, like I
Oh,
was
it's
very
so
alone.
long. Yeah, totally. Like, I feel that emotion now. Like, it
Yeah,
takes me straight back because, like, I was surrounded by people all the time, and yet it is such an inward journey that really only you can do.
yeah,
And so it's like, there were times where I was sitting there and I was like, "I don't know if I'm gonna make it."
yeah.
Like, I
No, and
actually
I
don't want to do this.
yeah, love. And you're not alone in that.
Yeah.
Like
Oh,
there
and it's only once you get out of it that people show up and say, "Oh, I was like that too." I remember sitting there thinking, "Well, where the fuck were you when when I was in it?" 'Cause that's what I
yeah,
needed.
yeah, just to hear that like I felt like that too. And I think
Yeah.
that's why I wanted to have
And
you
it
on here and talk about this because I didn't, like and I had my son, I think I got pregnant with him when I was 24, so I had him at 25. None of my friends had babies then. Nobody
yeah,
understood. They're all still partying, living their life. I'm there alone in an abusive relationship with this baby, feeling like I'm gonna fucking die. Like, I'm literally
yeah,
gonna die. How am I gonna do this?
yeah.
And I mean, even now, like, I make jokes, like, if we wanna bring a little humor into this, like, I'll even tell my partner all the time, like, because I also have an 11-year-old stepson, and I'll be like, "Really, God? 3 kids? 3
Yeah.
fucking kids? Like, did you fuck it up? Did you get me mixed up with somebody else? Like, oh my God?" And I think for me, the hardest part for me is, like, I have a very deep devotion to spirit, as I know you do, like, that is like my favorite part of me and having time to sit and like channel and connect with spirit and be in ritual and be in connection with like my fellow like sisters, like that was such a huge part of my life and my everyday like just practice. And then for me now having kids, it's like so many of those balls I feel like end up getting dropped because it's like you always end up coming last, right? Like the few extra minutes for you in the morning or you're trying to jam everything in when they're napping and it's like I think for me, the biggest journey right now that I'm experiencing, at least like what's super alive for me, is adapting the belief that like I'm a goddess, I'm a priestess, like I can consider myself a modern day priestess, and I'm a mother.
Yeah.
And it's not this or that, it's and. And if it really is and, then God didn't make a mistake, right? And in this lifetime, I was here to learn a different way to be the modern day priestess, to still hold that frequency and that emanation while also like being mother at the same time. It's like being that bridge of both. So to me, I'm always sitting and it's like, how do I honor both parts of me where I can show up and be a super like conscious, like present, loving mother, but I still am so deeply anchored in this part of me because that's like the like undercurrent of who I am. And it's like, if I don't have that, then like I feel dead. Like I literally feel dead inside when I'm disconnected from that. So, I think it's like how do I wanna put this? Like, what would you say to someone who feels right now that they're like at that part in motherhood, postpartum, whatever, where they're like, I'm just so fucking lost for myself. Like, what are
Yeah.
some of the things that you did to really like kind of like start coming back home to yourself?
So it's so funny that you bring that up because I remember when I was about 3 months pregnant. So when we were working together in that container, I remember the identity that was coming through from me was like the goddess. So it was like,
Mhm.
goddess Tiff, that's who you're here to embody right now. Like, go ham, go all in. And I did. And then when I hit 3 months into my pregnancy, I'd just gotten over all the nausea and the morning sickness, and so I could actually think for once.
Yeah.
For after 12 weeks of not thinking about anything but not throwing up, and Spirit gifted me this new identity, which was the Empress.
Mhm.
And I remember that came through was like the Empress. I was like, what is that? I don't even know what that means. Like I literally never even thought of the word Empress before. So I spent some time looking into it. And even from like the tarot cards, like if you look at the Empress, she really is the embodiment of love and fertility. But she represents two sides of a coin, and one is this badass goddess that runs empires, that is the advisor, that makes sure that everything is taken care of with love and compassion. And the other side of the Empress is the mother.
Mm.
She is the mother. She is the creator of life. She's the person that takes care of her family, her children, her home. Like, she's both of those things. And as soon as that came through, I was like, wow, okay, that's
Yeah.
interesting. That's like the next version of me that I can choose to step into. And for a long time, I felt like I wasn't doing that. And I would beat myself up about it because when I was a maiden and the goddess came through, it was at the time it didn't feel easy, but as I reflect back, it was super easy to do the rituals and the practices, to be devoted every day because it was just me. I didn't have to worry about anything else. I barely even had to worry about my home because it was my husband and I, and he's a grown ass adult. He can take care of himself. Like, it was, I really only had to focus on me. And then pregnancy took its toll on me physically, where I really did have to slow down, and I was really prioritizing my my body. I was prioritizing calm and peace because that's the
Mhm.
environment I wanted for my baby. But then he was born and the shit show started,
Yeah.
and there was no room for any of my devotional practices. There was barely even room to meditate because every time I closed my eyes, I would burst into tears. Like, when
Yeah.
I was alone, I would just feel so much that it was like, I don't have space for any of this. And so then I, really felt this judgment towards myself, like, you're not embodying the Empress. You're just in it. And what was interesting was I didn't know it at the time, but in that postpartum period, I really just let myself free fall into the roller coaster of that
Yeah.
season of life. I didn't really hold back. Like, every time emotion came up, I was like, okay, let's let it out. I did not hold
Yeah.
anything back. And I'm really grateful because I had such a loving and supportive village that everyone that I was coming into contact with during that time was able to hold space for all of the emotion, for all
Mm.
of the thoughts that I was having, for all of the fears that were surfacing. Um, and truly, that is what helped me get through that season of my life with as much grace as I could muster, because there is so much, and I really just let myself sink into it. And I, like, at the time, I don't really know what I was thinking other than I was like, well, it's here for a reason, and I have this opportunity. All of this stuff is coming up. Maybe it's an opportunity for me to purge it all out.
Yeah. And as you're saying that, I'm just feeling into like I had two just completely different postpartum journeys with my son and my daughter. And I think that, with my son, I was so resistant to it. I shouldn't be sad. Look at this beautiful, healthy baby. I shouldn't be sad. I shouldn't be angry. I shouldn't be anxious. I shouldn't be hating life, wishing I was here or there. That you know what I mean? It's like you're saying like that level of like judgment. Like I had so much judgment. I had so much guilt and resistance. And like talk about three fucking terrible vibrations to be sitting in with a new baby, right? But it's like I was so in it. It's like I couldn't get through it because unlike you, I wouldn't let myself feel it. I wouldn't let myself feel it. I just kept pushing, pretending to be happy, pretending I was okay, thinking I couldn't let any of these balls drop. Where with my daughter, I had the craziest postpartum because, I had her shortly after my dad was killed, and it was just nothing but grief. But it was different this time because I was in that grief and still like just so much of the postpartum feelings, but I didn't run away from it this time. Like you, like I'm like, you know what? If I'm gonna fucking cry, I'm just gonna be cry. If I want to be angry, I'm gonna be angry. Like I'm gonna say what I need. I'm gonna take care of myself. Like I really chose like this time the best to my ability that I wasn't going to completely lose myself in this. Like I was still going to make sure that like I was still in there somewhere. And for me, like that has made such a huge difference where even on days now that are like super hard and stuff, it's like I just let it be hard. I don't try to fix it. I don't try to change it. I don't try to force it away or repress it away. It's like just let it be as it is. Just meet it as it is. Do the best you can for that day. And then I'm going to try again tomorrow, and it's all perfect because also now I have my son's 6. So I have a 6-year-old and a 1-year-old. I also know like this too shall pass and this is temporary. And I think that's another reason why with my daughter, it's so much easier to move through the emotions because I'm like, I've been there, I've done this. I know I'm going to be okay. I know I'm going to be better than okay. And like, this is just a season. Like, it's just a season. And like, if I remember that every day when life feels heavy or overwhelming, or I'm just like, what the fuck am I doing? I'm like, this is temporary. This is temporary.
And it always passes. It always
Yeah.
passes. And that's kind of the thing that, the good and the bad, right? Like
Yeah.
everything passes. When it's good, like live it.
Yeah.
Live it.
Be there.
Yeah, be present. Like allow yourself to feel that bliss, that pleasure, and that all of it, because even that passes too in the
Mm,
blink of an eye. And so it's like the saving grace for all of it. I feel like that teaching has saved me more times than I can count. And it's just made becoming a mother and taking care of another little human that much easier to just
yeah.
accept the ebbs and flows, the highs, the lows, the craziness, the nights where he wakes up 4 or 5 times in the night, and then, really enjoying the nights that he sleeps and only wakes up once to nurse and then goes straight back to sleep again.
Yeah.
Like there's like a beauty in all of it. Like my he's teething at the moment, and it's like I think it must be his eye teeth because he's just really miserable. And he like in his sleep he will like crawl onto me and want to like sleep on me and cuddle, and he's not normally like that. He can be quite independent. He just wants to do his own thing. Don't touch me, mom, like I'm doing my thing. And like even though it was like the middle of the night, I was lying
Yeah.
there thinking, oh my god, I get to like hold my baby and he's
Yeah.
just fast asleep and so feels so safe and content and at peace. And it was like, okay, yes, it's 3 in the morning, but it's okay because I'm hugging my baby and it's
Yes.
beautiful. But,
Yes.
in the early stages, that didn't seem beautiful. That was such a burden.
Mm-hmm.
That
I
was
know
such,
exactly what you mean, like, I'm just visualizing because, like, my daughter, she still nurses, and she doesn't sleep through the night even being 15 months old because she's primarily breastfed, like, she, like, will not take a bottle. It's not amazing, but, like, that's her thing, like, that's just who she's very strong-willed, and she's like, "No, like, I just want my mom." So there's days where I'm like so tired and I'm like, oh my God, like I'm so over this. Like I just don't want to do this anymore, you know? But then like when we have those moments where it's like 2, 3 in the morning and the world is quiet and the house is quiet and it's like just her and I, it's like sometimes those are like the most like special, precious moments, you know? And again, son being 6, I'm like, this isn't going to be forever. And I don't
Yeah.
foresee myself having any more children. So I'm like just gonna soak this up and enjoy her. But I think motherhood is just probably one of the most intense initiations and identity shifts that a woman could
Yeah.
ever go through. And like you really don't grasp it until like you're in it. So
Yes.
I'm really curious for you, like what do you think was like the biggest turning point or like the biggest shift for you from being like the maiden or goddess Tiff to moving more into like motherhood and empress? Like what was the biggest like difference in you, do you feel?
It was really acceptance. That's the word that's coming up for me. Is accepting each season, each phase, sometimes each minute, minute by minute,
Yes.
for exactly what it is and that it's okay.
Yeah.
That was the big turning point for me because up until that point there was so much resistance. It was like he's not sleeping, something's wrong. He's not latching properly, something's wrong. He's not eating what I give him, something's wrong, and I just remember, constantly feeling like, okay, there's like as if something was always wrong, that I wasn't getting anything right. And to this day there's still moments where I'm like, oh, I fucked up. And I live with the consequences of that, like I let him sleep too long and now he doesn't want to go down for a second nap,
Yeah.
or, I let him snack on too much watermelon and now he's not going to eat the thing, but he's going to be hungry in the middle of the night because he just ate
Yeah.
watermelon. So there are points where you're like, okay, Tim, you created the suffering, you're just going to have to roll with it.
Yeah.
But for the
Um,
most part, it's like, really being able to sit there and go, you know what, it's okay. Like, it's okay
yeah.
that I didn't have watermelon for dinner.
Yep.
It's fine. He was so happy. He
It
was
was
so
so
happy.
freaking happy with that watermelon.
Like, it was juice everywhere. And he was like, yeah, watermelon. And it was fine. He was having a vibe. And like, okay, so I have to wake up a couple of times tonight to give him some extra milk to make up for it. It's okay.
Yeah.
Like that sometimes that there and I feel like every time there's been, these different phases where it's been really challenging, I feel like my soul is inviting me to find more peace. Like, can you find
Mhm.
peace in this? Can you find peace in the chaos? Can you find peace in the uncertainty? Can you find peace in the present moment instead of thinking that it belongs somewhere else in a
Mhm.
different circumstance or in a different situation?
Yeah, and you keep saying the word peace, and the word that keeps coming to my head is, like, surrender. I think mother has taught me so much about the art of truly surrendering because you really don't like parents, I feel like, really try to, like, control their children and behavior and this and that, but it's like, you really can't, you know what I mean? Like, they could wake up and have an earache or something, they could just wake up and be on one, they could not wanna go to sleep, they could be puking, like, you have it's just like, you have to surrender to what is and where you're at in that moment, where your child's at in that moment, and like, "Okay, how do I just drop in and be present because this is what it is," right?
Yeah.
This is what it is. So, like, I think for motherhood, it's really ingrained that, like, level of surrender, like, even deeper in me, like, really, like, letting go of all the judgments and expectations and attachments, like, I put on myself for the day or, what needs to look like or what I'm gonna do, and, like, just letting it, like, unfold, like, with the vibe of
Mhm.
also kids, right? Like, I feel like I try to be really intuitive, like, mothering, and, like, there's some times where I think we're gonna do X, Y, or Z, or I think this is how the day is gonna go, but my kid's energy is just way different than that, and it's like, "Okay, well, like, let go of that, like, meet this little person where they're at, and it's gonna be perfect." You know what I mean? But, yeah, I
And it
think
always
people.
works out. It will always work out. I think nothing taught so all of those seasons taught me it, but the one that taught me that the most, but with so much joy, was taking my little one to Europe for 5 weeks. And we went to we went to 5 different countries. and we jumped time zones 6 times.
Oh my God. Yeah, you're a
Yeah,
crazy mama.
I know, wild, right? And I remember telling some of my other mom friends that we were going to do it, and they were like, "Oh hell no, I would never." And I was like, "Well, I'm gonna." And like we're gonna say, and that was really part of like that was the goddess mother like paradigm that I was. It really got me to experience that because the goddess in me, I loved travel. My husband and I traveled so much together before we got married, before we had a baby, and I love it. And every time the thought of it just lights me up. And so I was
Hmm.
like, what? My sister-in-law is getting married in Italy. There's no fucking way I'm missing this. We are going. And if we're going to go all the way over there, we may as well travel around and do. We even went to Egypt. Like we took my baby into the pyramids,
You
and it was
would.
40 degrees Celsius, and it was like wild. We and you know, and it was so funny because so I'm here. I am doing this thing that I love, and there were so many times where I was like, I don't know why I'm doing this to myself. I don't know why I'm doing this to our baby. Like, what are we doing? And he would just show up. This little one
Yep.
would just show up and adapt. And he was the most amazing little traveler. And that included him, like, you know, the first couple of nights he would be up for 2 hours in the middle of the night because of the jet lag. And then he got sick. And then he got like a stomach bug. And then this happened and this happened. And it was like, keep surrendering, like just keep surrendering. And it ended up being the most amazing trip I've ever had. And it was hard. Like there were
Yep.
times on the plane where he would sleep for 45 minutes and then he'd be awake again. And I'm like, I haven't slept in 20 hours. Why are you not sleeping? I don't get it. And it was
Yep.
like, just surrender into it. Just, you know,
Yep.
he doesn't sleep right now. He has to sleep eventually. Ride it out. And I'd be like, okay, we're just going to ride it out. And then eventually he would fall asleep. And then I'd like, okay, I can sleep now. You know, and it just at time and time again, like he literally was just showing me my capacity to really surrender to life.
Hmm.
And since that trip, like I've really taken that back home and just really sat in that, being like, you know, I don't have to stick to strict schedules with him. I can allow him to lead. You know, he will show me what he needs, and I will be
Yep.
able to meet those needs, however, whenever they show up, and it'll be okay, and it'll work itself out, and inevitably it always does, and that's what that taught me, and so I feel like each of those layers, the postpartum, the struggle between the work and the, you know, being with my child and then going on this trip with him, like each of those has really just taught me that if you can just meet each moment with acceptance and just go, you know, it's okay. And then to your point, knowing that it will pass as well.
Hmm.
Like you can bring so much grace into the mother.
Mm. Yeah, I love that you use the word grace because I feel like that's something I needed so much with myself, and I still need it with myself. There are days, like you said, where I'm like, "Man, I just fucked that up. I did not win mom of the year today." And
Mm-hmm.
also, it's like having that level of grace where it's like, we're also still people just trying to figure this out. You know what I mean? Like, it's not like they give you this manual with your baby, like, "Here you go. This is a perfect manual on how to raise this specific energy and individual and personality and." You know what I mean? It's like you don't get that. So it's like having that level of grace, I think, is everything. And at the beginning, you said how you really slowed down and you really decided to step back and be present and be the mom you wanted to be. Like, how did you know that that's what this season of life was calling you? And like, you separated, society and conditioning that like you should bounce back and you should go. Like, how did you separate what was true for you versus like what you were told or thought you had to do? Like, what did that journey look like?
That is all my body. My
Yeah.
body was the guidance on that because I tried to think and reason and rationalize my way through every season I've ever been in my life. I've always gone head first, you know, what makes logical sense, what makes rational sense. And the only thing that tends to happen is I, riddle myself with anxiety. I start to get overwhelmed, confused because there's just so much going on. And so one of the things that became really clear to me was that my body is the most clear sign of when something is in alignment for me or if it's not, because it's not just like that that normal tiredness that you feel because you've had like a big day. It was
Yep.
like deep fatigue, like this
Yeah.
deep, like, oh, like my body felt heavy, like I was carrying extra, like a I don't know, like dumbbells
Yeah.
in a backpack on my back. Like I just felt this heaviness, and it just felt wrong in my body. And I have spent the last few years learning to trust that, which I didn't have. And you had such a big role to play in me relearning that skill in myself, like really listening to my body when it's saying no.
Yeah. Mm. I think
And
that's
that,
huge.
yeah, like I just, and like I look at my son and he does it all the time. Like it's so obvious when his body is saying no to something. And to think that like we were all born with that, but we lost it along the way, and it got
Mm.
broken off and left behind somewhere. So bringing that back into my being, that is something that I lost in the maiden, but I found again in the mother.
I love that. I love that so much because I think that we live in a society that's really focused on the mind and what they think they should do. And it's bigger, bigger, more and more, push, force. And it's like our body's constantly like, I'm tired. I need rest. Like, I don't want to do this. And we're like, yes, you do. Keep going, keep pushing, show up. And it's like so many times we think that our mind knows more than our body, but it's like, truthfully, it's like your soul, your inner guidance is in the body. It's that innate wisdom of the body, and it's constantly signaling you, constantly trying to communicate, but it's like enough of us are so used to being in the mind that we just bypass it completely together. Like, it's like
Oh,
we're not even aware to it. It's sad, you know? I see that all the time when I start working with people. I'm like, "What's going on in your body?" They're like, "What do you mean? What do you mean? I was just talking to you about this thing, and I wanna talk to you about this thing." I'm like, "Yeah, that's great. What's going on in your body right now?" You know?
yeah,
And
yeah.
truthfully, if you're unsure about something, my biggest advice for you today, if you don't take anything from this, but this would be like to take a minute if you're that confused, if you're that overwhelmed, if you don't know what to do, and close your eyes and drop out of your head and get into your heart, get into your womb, because there's your answer. Like your body's never going to steer you the wrong way. So I love that you touched on that. What would you say to a woman who maybe is listening to this and they're like, I wanna say yes. Like, I wanna slow down. I wanna be with my baby, but they're afraid and they have all these stories of why they can't or why they shouldn't. Like, what would you tell that new mom, or maybe you've been a mom a while and you're like, hell, I've never listened to myself. Like, what would you say to them?
That, and it comes down to trust.
Mm,
Like that's the biggest thing, because I remember when I was trying to make that decision, and I remember having this conversation with my husband. Like we were on a date, and I'm literally bawling my eyes out on this date because I was like, I don't think I can work, and we work together in our business. And he thought that I was coming back because that's what I'd been saying. I was like, I'm going to come back. We're going to run this program and this program. And I was like, sitting there at this restaurant being like, I don't think I want to do this, but I feel like I'm letting you down. But it doesn't.
mhm.
And he looked at me and he was like, I thought this was the case. He's like, he knew. He already knew that it wasn't my calling, that I wasn't fully into it. I wasn't passionate about it. It wasn't lighting me up. Like he knew. And when I said it, I felt this weight had been lifted off of my body. And he was like, we'll work it out.
Yeah.
And we have, like it's been a year since I have worked at the full capacity that I was doing before I had my baby. and it's always worked out. And that, and that's not to say that there haven't been hard times, there haven't been stressful times. There's definitely been challenges around, what we're able to invest our money in and what we're not, because and even the way that we split duties in our household, because my husband is the one that's pulling all the weight in our business, and I just show up, sprinkle some fairy dust, and then I fuck off again. Like
Yep. I
that's
love
the
it.
role we play right now. And and so there have been different choices we've had to make about our life and things like that, and yet it's always worked out. And so sure, I can't get a mani pedi every month, I can't go and get a massage whenever I want, I can't just ball out on clothes and skincare like I used to when I was in the
Right.
Maiden. But in exchange, I get all of this time with my baby where we get to go out and explore. I get to, take him to different places, and, I get to make him home cooked meals, which I love doing. I love cooking and I love making him meals, and he loves everything that I make, which just like brings me so much joy. When he naps, I get to sit next to him, and sometimes I nap with him. Sometimes I read. Sometimes I just do nothing, and I just get to rest while he sleeps. Like that's what I get in exchange. And
Yeah.
so, I think trusting that you will be able to work it out no matter what your decision is, and that if you can accept that there will be an exchange, an offering, a sacrifice of some sort, and yet you could still live the life that you've always dreamed and desired of. Like that's really the inspiration that I would give to any woman that's like, I feel this call to slow down, is like, you can do it, and it'll be, your life will be so different, and it'll be like just, if not more magical than the life that you're experiencing right now.
I love that you said that. And for me, I had my son started kindergarten when my daughter was like a month or two old. And so it was like such a full circle moment where I'm watching my baby, essentially start kindergarten and leave to start like education and all this. And there I am holding my newborn. And I realized it goes like that. I was like, where did 5 years just go? And then again, that level of judgment and grief, like and guilt came up where it's like, oh my God, I literally remember thinking, I missed his whole childhood. I missed his
Yeah.
whole childhood. Where was I? Where was I? Missed it. You know what I mean? Literally, those were the thoughts I was having. And then I'm looking at my daughter, and then also I had just such a crazy year this year. And I'm like sitting here feeling all this pressure, like, oh my God, I need to create and I need to make a name for myself and I need to be out there. I need to be doing all these things. Then I'm looking at my daughter and I'm watching my son walk into kindergarten. I'm like, why the fuck does that even matter? Like, why
Yeah.
does it even
Yeah.
matter? Like you said, there's an offering, there's an exchange. Like, what are you like? The way I always see it too is like, what balls am I willing to let drop? Like, what
Yeah.
are the things that like are an absolutely fuck no, like no way, these are never dropping? And what are some of the things, like you said, like, okay, do I need to get a mani pedi every month? Do I need to go spend hundreds of dollars on clothes? Do I need to go out and do this all the time? Not that I don't do those things sometimes and still like to do them, but it's like I
Mhm.
changed doing those type of things and making a shit ton of money and balling to get to have this time. And like I'm telling you, I fully chose this, and it's still hard sometimes for me
Oh,
because there is still that, you know, that identity like shift and like you grieving who you once were and the things you used to do. So when you are in those moments or those seasons that feel tough and they feel hard and like they're never ending, you're like, God, I want to grasp for that lifeboat over there and, go get a mani pedi and like not be doing this thing right now. But then it's like the flip side where I look at like right now, like the other day, we got to like set up our Christmas tree. Like it was like Monday, like midday, like nothing to do, like just setting up our Christmas tree and watching The Grinch and snuggling in our jammies. And I'm like, wow, like I also get to do this.
Yeah.
And I remember a time in my life when I would literally be in the bathroom at my work sobbing. I can remember literally calling my mom, and I hope she listens to this, calling her, being like, "Mom, I'll sell my car. I'll sell everything I own. I just want to be home with him." Like I literally was like, "I'll sell a kidney." Like I don't want to do this anymore. So it's like what you're saying. It's like there is an offering, there is an exchange, but it's like I feel like what you gain is so much more than anything that you lose in that season. And like life comes full circle. You'll work again, you'll have clients again, you'll do whatever again, and you'll also be this just completely different version of yourself, this different level of embodiment, of wisdom, of just, you know what I mean, of life. Like, I don't
Yeah.
know.
Yeah. I totally agree. And I think it has, and it's like, it has less to do with the material thing as much
Yeah.
as it's about like, when you're in soul alignment, like, when your body goes, hell yeah, this is what we're
Mhm.
meant to. And like that feeling, like my son was literally asleep in his cot next to me, and I was sitting on the bed, and it was like 11 a.m. in the morning. And I was reading a human design book just because out of nowhere I've just gotten this massive surge of interest in it, and I just like devour it. And so I was sitting there reading, like my husband's in the room next door, like working on some stuff for our business, and my baby is peacefully asleep next to me. And I remember sitting there being like, this is exactly where I'm meant to be.
Mm, that
Like
part.
this is it. And sometimes for me, like I'll go and pay for someone to wash and dry my hair, right, which
Yeah.
seems completely frivolous. And yet there's this like I was like, oh, I just want someone else to do it. Like I just don't want to do it myself, and I want to treat myself to something. And I remember sitting in that chair, someone else was looking after my baby, and in that moment I was like, this is where I'm meant to be.
Mhm.
It's that, like, that is what you're searching for, and it has less to do with like the external world of what it looks like, and more to do with like how do you feel in that moment. Like, is this where you're meant to be? Is this where your soul is calling you to be present in?
Yeah.
Because when you hit that, all the things that you offered up in exchange, they don't fucking matter. Like,
Mm.
even when I was in that hairdresser's seat without my baby, like I had to ask someone else to look after my baby so that someone could wash my hair. I remember thinking, I don't mind that
Yeah.
I have given up this hour with my baby to be here, because this is what I need in this moment. And
Mm.
on the flip side, when I'm sitting in the bed and my baby's next to me, I'm like, I don't care that I'm not making money. I don't
Yeah.
care that no one's looking to me to be like, oh my God, she's like such a boss bitch. She's doing all the things. Like, I'm doing nothing.
Yep.
I'm
Same.
doing nothing. And in that moment, that is, that's, and that I'm at peace with that, like that I fully surrendered to that in this season of my life, it's okay that I'm not productive, that I'm like outsourcing really basic things that like we expect mothers to do. Like, I'm outsourcing it. That it's just not, cleaning my house is not a vibe for me. I don't enjoy, I love cooking. I love cooking, but I do not like cleaning my house. And so we have someone that helps clean the house. And that is something that I'm willing to invest in because it means that I have more time
Yep.
to be in alignment with myself.
And I feel like really like if we pull apart like what you're saying, it's like it's really getting to that point where it's like you trust yourself and you're listening to yourself. And it's not like a big like mapped out thing. It's like today, right here in this moment, like what do I need to feel like this is where I'm meant to be, where I feel whole, where I feel lit up. And in moments it is when I'm snuggled on the couch in my pajamas till 2 o'clock in the afternoon. And then other days it's being at the hair salon for an hour while someone else watches. But like I feel that too. And I think it's like honoring like what is true for you, like what do you need, so that you can really create this life that feels good to you, not one that you think you should have or what society says you should be doing. It's like, how do I create motherhood, my family, even business, when you get back into it, in a way that feels good, where I get to be both parts? Like I said, like trying to be priestess and mother. It's like, how do I be both parts in a way that I feel good at both places at both times? You know what I mean?
Yeah, totally. And I think, I mean, if anything, and I'm so glad that you pulled that thread out of what I was saying, because that's how you, like, for me anyway, and it's the only way I know how to not lose myself
Yeah. Yeah.
in, like,
100.
in any identity, is like, because in any moment, like, whatever it is that you need, like whatever it is that I need, like, I am actively trusting that it's there for a reason,
Mm-hmm.
that I'm not crazy, that I'm not being over the top, that I'm not being weak, that I'm not anything. Like, it's just there. And if I can honor that, even if it doesn't make sense in the moment, maybe it will make sense later. And if I look back on the last year of like the experience that I've had, like, really each of those moments has reminded me of just how important I actually am, and that if I do take care of myself and if I allow others to take care of me as well in this season, that by default my baby will be taken care of because I show up better. I,
Yeah.
if I'm taken care of, I make milk like a boss.
Yeah.
I can put that kid to sleep in 5 minutes flat. Like, I can do all the things, I can take him out to the park and I'll play with him for 2 hours. And I
Yep.
have the energy to do that because, like, I've taken care of myself. And I remember talking to my girlfriend, and our babies are like 3 days apart. And I remember talking to her, and I was like, you know what? I just wish that moms would remember just how fucking important they are.
Yeah.
Because when you take care of we talk about, I remember reading this post and it said, we talk about it takes a village to raise a baby, but actually it takes a village to support a mother. And
Mm,
if you can take care of the mother, the baby and all the children associated with that mother will all be taken care of.
yeah. And I would invite any woman who's listening to this who is like, feels so overwhelmed with motherhood, who feels like they've lost themselves, to make that your daily practice right now. Every day tapping in, maybe in the morning, or shit, I'm not even gonna say in the morning because I know how my morning starts sometimes, but when you get that just moment of stillness or whatever, and just you can tap into your body, and it's like, okay, like, what's here? How do I feel? Like, what do I need? Maybe that's something as silly as take a shower, take a nap, take a walk, go get your hair done. And it's like, instead of judging yourself, making it right, wrong, good, bad, it's like, just practice trusting yourself and just seeing like what happens, like when you follow those little nudges, those little curiosities. Because I know for me, like you said, like there's times I get messages from spirit. I'm like, that makes no sense. Kind of like our call today. I'm like, that it makes no sense. But can I trust it? And if I trust it, even though I don't understand it, will the rest unveil itself and reveal to me? Yes. So it's like the same as with like motherhood. Like, do the things to take care of you. I know for me, I'm a way better mother. Like when I'm nourished, like when I'm
Mm-hmm.
well watered, when I feel good, like I show up with this aliveness and this fun and this element of play, like with my kids. But when I don't, fill myself up or give back to myself, I show up bitter. I show up, half-assed, where I'm not present. So it's like, it seems like counterintuitive, but it's like you really are like the glue, the energy, like the fabric of your family. And it's like, what is the energy that like you're bringing to it every day? And how could you do it differently to feel good to you, you know?
Yeah, totally. Do you know what I just channeled as you were speaking? Was like, we say that we shouldn't have guilt. Like, we always, there's, mom guilt. Everyone talks about it. Mom guilt, mom guilt. And the thing that just came through just then was like, if you could only just realize that mom guilt is a reminder to take care of yourself.
Mm, that
And
needs
I
to
was
be a
like,
real quote.
oh shit.
Yeah.
So true, because normally when I feel the guiltiest about raising my son is because I've made a choice or a decision that I feel like was a mistake. But the reason that I ended up in that place in the first place was I probably didn't take care of myself enough to be in tune, to be intuitive, to be in line, to really feel what my son actually needed in that moment. And so the guilt is less to do with how you're showing up for your baby, and perhaps it has more to do with how you're showing up for yourself.
Mic drop.
Mm.
That's it right there.
Even I'm shook. Where did that come from?
Put a bow on it. We're done. That's all you guys need. That's all you need. But seriously, is there anything else that you want to say to all the moms out there, any new moms out there listening? One message on your heart, words of affirmation. Like, what is one thing you wish all moms like really embodied and just like fucking ran with?
Oh, all right, mama. This is what I wish you knew. I wish you knew that stepping into motherhood is going to be the hardest and most challenging thing you will ever do. And it is also the catalyst for the most beautiful, the most powerful, the most profound becoming of your existence.
Mm, I'm gonna co-sign that. I have nothing to add to that. I'm gonna co-sign that because that's beautiful and perfect, and that's just exactly what I would say. That's exactly what I would say. Like, I always tell people that, like, being a mother is, like, the best thing and the most, like, fucked up hard thing I've ever done in my life, and I love every minute of it. Like, I love
Yeah.
every like, I'm a mom before I'm anything. I love being a mom, and it's so hard sometimes.
Oh man, it's so
So
fun. Yeah.
but I love him so much.
Yeah.
Oh my god, I love it.
I do
Well,
think, I definitely think it is, if we chose to be here to have a human experience, there is nothing that makes you feel more and to really experience what it's like to be human than becoming a parent, because you feel the fullness of the extremes of
yeah.
everything.
Mm,
And
yeah,
if you choose, it can be such a gift.
I agree. So I know you said you're taking a little bit of space, but for people that are vibing with you, who want to connect with you, maybe just get into your world. So when you do open your doors to start working with people again, how do you want people to find you?
So
Where's
the
the best
place to
place?
find me is on Instagram. I am Tiffany Roxas. So while I'm not working as much, my husband and I are still putting out offerings. So we've got a really amazing breath work facilitator training course that we're going to be launching next year. We run events online, and we're actually going to be taking it overseas next year. So if you are interested in staying connected and looking at any opportunities for us to connect together, even if you just want to drop into my DMs and say hi, that is more than welcome. Um, yeah, that's the best way to come and find me.
Mm. Well, thank you so much for being here with me, for having this raw, just vulnerable, real conversation about motherhood and what that initiation looks like. And I just love you, Mama. So happy you're here.
I love you too, and thank you, and thank you to Spirit for bringing us this topic, because yeah, I definitely feel in my heart that's exactly what we needed to speak about today. So thank you.
Mm. And so it is. I love you.
Love you.
Thank you so much for joining me today for another episode of the Shadow Priestess Embodied Podcast. Honestly, I'm having so much fun inviting on these incredible guests, incredible speakers, and really just creating a space where I get to highlight other amazing women's genius. Honestly, that is like my life passion, is really diving deep with people and really helping them to uncover who they really are at the core of their essence, really awakening them to that innate feminine wisdom and finding the courage to walk their soul led path. If this sounds like you and you are ready to live a life that is truly spirit led, the doors to my group mastermind Emergence just opened. And if you're someone who likes to go deep and wants something more intimate, I do have a few select spaces for my one-on-one private mentorship. And if you're not really ready to commit and you want a little taste of my world, please register for my free event, Pleasure, the Pathway to Healing, where I'm going to share with you all of my juicy, delicious secrets to live your most pleasurable, orgasmic, feminine life. Click the link in the show notes and we'll talk soon.